What is going on, guys? Newton here with MMO Player, bringing you guys an overlook of patch 2.4.1 for Diablo 3 and the start of Season 6. I'm going to be going over these patch notes as the start of Season 6 is happening right now. I'm going to let you guys know some of the best buffs and reworks and changes that I've noted through these patch notes for classes, items, and other things and so on. So hopping right into it, let's go ahead and start with items. As far as classes go, generally most classes got kind of buffs across the whole board for specific skills that go well with their item set, so not really much changing with classes, pretty much just buffs across the whole board as far as things go. So, starting with items, we have Legendary Gems. Legendary Gems got pretty interesting this season. Quite a few Legendary Gems got really good. Starting off with Bane of the Powerful. Bane of the Powerful is a really good Legendary Gem. You gain 20% increased damage for a varied amount of seconds based on what level it is after killing an elite pack. But now why this gem got very interesting is after rank 25, you gain 15% increased damage and take 15% reduced damage from elites. That's a very big and very effective buff to this gem. It's going to be very essential for rolling into the mainstream or the meta builds for each class as the people who push greater rifts as high as they possibly can. This will be pretty essential to bring along on your journey. The 15% damage reduction from elites straight across the board is super helpful, and I think it's going to be one of those gems that you really can't pass up, and it's something that's going to be in everybody's build. Alright, getting right also into it is Enforcer. Enforcer got really good this season, and it's going to go really good with Witch Doctors. Witch Doctors this season, I think, are going to be pretty darn strong. They're usually not bad every season. They kind of hold their own very well, but primarily they're ZDPS. This season, I think they're going to do a good job being a main DPS and pushing on their own with their pet build, especially with this gem to go in hand with it. Now, before this gem gave your pets a 25% damage reduction, and it has been buffed to 90%. That's massive. That's absolutely huge. And what's also crazy about this is your pets will never die. So all the damage output that Witch Doctors get from their pets is going to be up pretty much 100% of the time, which is crazy. So pretty good buff, pretty insane buff if you ask me with this gem. Pretty essential. I think a lot of Witch Doctors will probably be grabbing this. It's going to be one of the ones that you're definitely going to want to keep out and level up right away. Alright, next is, let's go ahead and scroll down here, is Wreath of Lightning. Wreath of Lightning did get a bit of a buff as well. This is a gem I like quite a bit. Now, it's not really great for pushing greater rifts or maximizing and optimizing your build to the best of its ability, but it's a very fun gem to use. It's one that I enjoy using to kind of speed run or speed farm greater rifts or power level friends and other things like that. It's a gem that's a lot of fun. Now, before it did deal 600% damage, and now it's up to 1250% damage, which is basically more than double the damage output that it used to do, which is crazy. So I think this gem is going to be very useful for speed clearing, and it's going to be a lot more fun to use just because it doesn't really fall off so much anymore, and it does deal a great amount of base damage. And every time you level it up, it went up from 10% each level to 25% each level, so you can get the damage output from this gem pretty darn high. And one more gem I wanted to point out as well is the Pain Enhancer. Pain Enhancer is one of my favorite legendary gems in the game, just because it's one of those things that you get your character to level 70, you want to start farming T6 as fast as you possibly can so you can start getting some gear and other things like that, but you just don't have the damage output to do so. Pain Enhancer was always my go-to legendary gem to kind of fill that damage gap, so that way I could start efficiently clearing T6 slowly but surely. What's nice about the Pain Enhancer is it deals a bleed for a percent of damage based on whatever level you have it up to, and it was buffed considerably. Initially, the Pain Enhancer did a 1200% damage bleed to the enemy over a course of 3 seconds, which wasn't bad at all, but it's been pretty much doubled now. It does a 2500% damage bleed to the enemy over 3 seconds, which is crazy. That's a lot of damage output for just one gem, and is really gonna help fill the bar for those fresh level 70s, and kind of give you that little extra oomph or that little extra damage output that you can need to really get the ball rolling with your class. A really good early on gem. As far as it goes into later builds into pushing greater rifts, it might fall off a bit, but a very good gem to have early on just for that extra damage output. And also to note that every time it levels up, the damage output went from 30 to 50%, which is pretty darn good as well. The damage output for this gem could be, it could be pretty substantial if you level it up quite a bit. So, moving on, we are going on to the set bonuses or the set builds for each class. As far as things go, every single set from just about every single class got buffed for the most part. So, as far as things go, people are going to be pushing even higher, greater rifts this season than they were last season, which is pretty crazy because the number just keeps going up and up and up, and so does the damage output for every class. So, as far as things go, barbarians. Haven't really played barbarians too much before, but it seems like they got pretty substantial buffs for each one of their sets, each one nearly doubling the damage bonus that you get for the set straight across the board. This went from their IK set went from 250 to 400. The Raycur set went from 300 to 750. The Might of the Earth set went from 800 to 1200. Skull's Grasp, this one has been buffed quite a bit, really good for the Whirlwind build. And then the Wraith build went from 40% to 50%. That's doesn't seem like a lot, but if you do play this class, a 10% per Whirlwind or whatever it is pretty substantial as well. Alright, so moving right on the list, we got Crusaders next. As far as Crusaders go, I think the Roland set is going to be their primary set this season. It did get a considerable buff as well as a kind of a rework to one of the legendary items that Crusaders can use. So I think the Holy Roland build is going to be back this season as the main build for Crusaders, which makes me really happy because in Season 3, when I started rolling seasons, my first class was a Crusader. Holy Roland build was the set that I did go with. If you guys are not familiar, it's this set right here. Basically, you use Shield Bash, and it does a ton of damage. It was a bit of a slow build, which is why Crusaders didn't become my favorite class. I did have a lot of fun with them, but the damage output for them was crazy. And now they get a legendary item that your Shield Glare deals damage equaled up to your last 5 Shield Bashes. So, Shield Bash did a ton of damage before. It just got buffed once again. And now we got this legendary item to have our skills deal damage equal to your last 5 shield bashes, which is crazy. That's a huge amount of damage output. As far as the other sets go for Crusaders, they've been buffed as well. So pretty much straight across the board, Crusaders have been buffed, but the Holy Roland set seems like it's going to be the main set this season to go with. It's going to be the one that shines the brightest and brings you the farthest amongst the most of them. Now, moving on to Demon Hunters. Demon Hunters, once again, pretty much buffs straight across the board. As far as things go, not crazy buffs. Some things have been upped slightly, some have been upped much more so. The embodiment of the Marauder, or the, what's it called, the Marauder set here, has been buffed quite a bit from 300 to 400 for your siege, or not your siege, your sentry bonus damage, which is not bad, pretty good. The 6 bonus set deals, for every sentry that you have out from 600 to 800%, so a pretty substantial buff. Not huge, but good enough to kind of get the job done. Now, what's really interesting this build, or this season, is the Mantle set. The Shadow Mantle set, I think, just got a little bit better as well. The fan, or the dagger that you can get here, which increases the damage for your fan of knives, got buffed as well from 80 to 100% to 160 to 200%, so this was an extremely strong build last season, and it did a ton of damage. The damage output was insane for this. People were pushing some crazy numbers for greater rifts, and it only got better, which is absolutely blowing my mind. So, once again, Demon Hunters are probably going to be one of the greater soloing classes this season, with an extremely high damage output to single target, and probably even for multi-target, as well as the Fan of Knives build did get buffed a bit quite as well. And one thing I did want to note is the Unhallowed Essence build did get considerably better. It pretty much got 2 times stronger. If you guys are not familiar with this build, the damage output was based on how much discipline you had. Each point of discipline you had, you get 20% damage buff. It has been up from 20 to 40%. So Unhallowed Essence was a very strong build before if you wanted to go with the classic Demon Hunter feel with the range and everything. It goes multi-shot and all of that. It pretty much just got doubled in damage, and it was a very strong build before, and it's going to be very strong once again. Now moving on, we got monks. Monks, once again, buffs straight across the board. As like I said, all classes pretty much got stronger this season. Monks, I did want to note is my favorite set, the Monkey King set or the Sun Wukong set, did get a considerable buff. This is my favorite set. It's the one I roll with every season, and I'm glad it's getting buffed. It was really good last season, but it did fall off a little bit to Inna's, and people did roll Inna's set way more, and did push it a little bit further. But me being a little bit biased in the Monkey or the Sun Wukong set being my favorite set, to see it have a considerable damage increase, the decoy damage increase from 500 to 1,000%, and the damage bonus increase from 1,500 to 3,000%, that is awesome. I love that. I love this set. I got it really well optimized last season, and I was able to push pretty darn far and get it a really very, very solid and strong build. I was very happy with it, and now that it hits harder, you could definitely believe this is going to be the set I'm going to be rolling again and pushing as far as I possibly can. But as for everything else, for monks, basically buffs right across the board. Everything just got a bit stronger. Not much else has changed. As for witch doctors got huge buffs across the board. A lot of their sets did get considerably stronger. Like I said, Witch Doctors seem to fall off every season. Now, don't get me wrong, they are very strong. A good Witch Doctor will be able to solo a very high Greater Rift, or with rolling with groups, a ZDPS Witch Doctor is super helpful. Don't get me wrong, I love a good Witch Doctor. And they did get quite considerable buffs to each one of their sets, so Witch Doctors are going to be a class to look out for. They're going to be doing some great damage on their own, regardless of any build you go. I think their Pets build is going to be one of their stronger builds because it goes really nicely hand-to-hand with the Legendary Gem buff that they gave to the Legendary Gems as well. So Witch Doctors are going to be pretty interesting this season. They're always a very fun class to play. I enjoyed playing with them. They're going to be very, very strong, and one class I think that's gonna shine a little bit brighter than they do other seasons during this season. They're gonna do a lot more damage, which is nice. As far as wizards go, wizards got buffs once again right across the board. I do not play wizards too much. I'm not too familiar with them. A lot of their builds do require kind of playing around with set bonuses from one set to another set, or you can go with standard full set. They do have some really interesting builds. Wizards are a really nice and easily customizable class. There's a lot of different ways you can play them. But as far as things go, all their set bonuses got a little bit of reworks when it comes to buffs and damage output to certain skills and other things like that. But as far as things go, Wizards are pretty similar than they were last season. They're just going to be considerably stronger than they were. And like I said, every class pretty much just got buffed, so people are going to be pushing even higher Greater Rifts, and some sets are better than others. What I do really like is the Firebird set did get stronger this season. I love the Firebird set. I think it's a lot of fun. I don't play Wizards often, but when the Firebird set was introduced, I did have a blast playing it, and I'm glad that it's getting buffed. It was very strong last season, don't get me wrong. It was a great set, and they did a great amount of damage. But to have it buffed once again is crazy. They're going to do a massive amounts of damage, and I'm kind of excited just to fool around and kind of make it my secondary class just to see how much damage they can do early on with an unoptimized build. I think they're going to do pretty good, but even with an optimized build, they're going to be insane. And as far as everything else goes, there's a few reworks to certain specific items that go hand in hand with other builds to other classes. There wasn't really much else to go over. There are Season 6 bonuses as well. If you guys are not familiar with that, the bonuses for Season 6 this time around is a new transmog set, a new portrait, and a new banner for your character to wear. those are pretty much it for the rewards. Obtaining them is very similar as they were last season and the season before that. Just complete some of the objectives, and once you complete them all, you'll obtain it. Not too hard. The portrait does look nice. The transmog set is kind of meh, and the banner is pretty cool as well. It looks pretty similar to the Season 3 Rewards one, just in a different color, which I'm not complaining, pretty nice, I like it. Now, other than that, that's pretty much it for this patch this time around. It's one that I'm pretty excited for. I love Diablo. I love competing and playing in seasons. It's a lot of fun. And if you guys are planning on competing or joining Season 6 just for the heck of it or to play casually, let me know what class you guys are going to be rolling with. What build are you going to be rolling with? What are you excited about? Let us know in the comments down below, and hopefully we'll see you guys in Season 6. Alright guys, have a good one.